It took everything that I had, yeah. Walked away, but you left one thing behind. You're wondering just what that is. Yes, you are. Well, the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking. When the world comes tumbling down, I'll be there. When the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking. We're gonna make a little love down by the water. Maybe out the sun, maybe out the daughter when the music man calls. That's when I gotta play. So I burn for the things I never had. I'm burning with hate, with love. Spin around, round. 'Cause as a boy I had a dream. Carry it with me today. Yes, I do. When the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking. When the walls come tumbling down, I'll be there. When the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking. When the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking. When the world comes tumbling down, I'll be there. Hey, 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 hey. When the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking. When the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking.
Giottos are so good. These chocolates are what? Chocolates. We're here about astrophotography. What are we doing? Wrong video. Whoops.
Over me, got a way of your own. But I told you that life ain't a fantasy. Now I watch you every day. Turn it up, it's just your way. Rocket fuel runs through your brain. Like I told you on the train, that it's the only thing she knows. The only thing she knows. The only thing she knows. That it's the only, 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 only thing she knows. She knows. So it started to rain. Met a woman with eyes like a hurricane. Told her she was the one. And she left at the moon, calling me insane. Now I watch you every day. Turn it up, it's just your way. Rocket fuel runs through your brain. Like I told you on the train. Well, it's the only thing she knows. The only thing she knows. The only thing she knows. She knows the only thing she knows. Said it's the only thing she knows. She knows. She knows. She knows. What the hell's wrong with my telescope now? Damn, what's wrong with this thing?
The lost Lone Ranger, can I break this spell? Who wants things right? Who I make you to things wrong? If I want that fine line, who I will always take you for. If I just do the left, I can hear from the right. I sleep all day long, then I'm dreaming through the night. I've seen a lot of bankers, and I've seen a lot of cops. I've seen a lot of lawyers pull out all of the stops. I've seen a lot of children with their parents in their hands. I've felt a lot of women who refuse to understand. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. You see it in the papers, you read it every day. The riots and the fires going on in South LA. The muggers and the government, they're all wanting the same thing. They take all your money, every spring. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. 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 Guitar Players Planet.
It's gotta mean something. It's gotta.
Sunny skies, the smell of palm tree air. Looking back, I could never feel fair. The way the music has touched my soul, the way that the South holds its control. But I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back to the land of the new. Oh, na 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 na. That I have lost my friend. Got the sunset off the highway again. Then I get lost on a long summer day. I must go back before it's too late. You're afraid, you're feeling alone. Time and space can never afford. The holidays can ring in your fear. The ghost-ring praise can only me tears. And I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back to land of the new. Oh, na 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 na. Sitting at the lake, I'm feeling confused, but I had my guitar, so I played this blues. But I'm afraid, what might be true, that I might never be back again. Seems to me that I've lost my friend. Got the sunset off the highway again. Then I get lost on a long summer day. I must be back before it's too late. Before it's too late.
Someone to take me down at night. Someone to make my day. New revelation fills my soul. Oh, I can waste away. You
Not looking for perfection, but you're too hard to find. Now the first night is coming, and I know what to do. You know that nothing feels sweeter than someone else.
So it's a wonderful night tonight. It's really good. You know, cloudy nights and not cloudy nights, but clear dark sky and was it clear outside. Says it's going to be a wonderful night tonight. I mean, last night was wonderful. Tomorrow's supposed to be great. So I think I'm going to leave my telescope out all night, and it's going to be a really nice night tonight. So I'm hoping to get some really good shots of the Cave Nebula, which is part of my astrophotography meets D&D imaging. I know it's kind of looks scary, like the way I look at my eyes, kind of crazy. It's pretty cool. But I'm super excited for tonight, and let's see what kind of data I got. Well, yeah.
Dirty. I swear to God, these clouds are just pissing me the off. I don't understand. I don't listen to these things anymore. I can't take it. New York, you suck. And you know what? I'm so.
Hello, everybody. We finally made it. We're late. And you know what? For the first time, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It's usually me, and it's not. And I won't say who it was, but you know, it doesn't matter. But I got to turn you up. I got to turn you up a little bit.
One-armed man.
Let me just turn you up a little bit, Eric. There you go. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's a one-armed man. What is that from? What is that? The Fugitive?
Yeah.
So or am I dating myself here? Yeah. But and I'm not talking about the one with Harrison Ford. I was talking the one about the 60s.
Yeah.
But anyway, how's it going, everybody? We are here tonight, and we have a special guest tonight. We have David Giesen from Photonic Cleaning Technologies hanging out with us. Again, this is your second time with us. So welcome to the show again, David. It's been a while since we've been together, and we've grown to over 2,200 subscribers since I guess you came on the show. We were at about probably 500. Now we're at 2,200. So yeah,
it was July of 22, so over 2 years, and we've kept busy too.
Yeah, I got to turn you up a little bit too. So give me 1 second. Turn you up. Where are you at?
I'll bet you've been super busy, Dave.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm going to turn you up from here. It's fine. Go ahead. Give me a check.
Check.
There you go. Perfect. Awesome.
All right.
Awesome. So yeah. So we talked a little bit back in April. During NEAF, but not so much. We were both kind of busy. But what's been going on for the past 2 years?
We've been busy with developing, I think 3 more polymers, not specific to the astronomy world, but yeah, as a company, 3 more polymers. One of them is specific to a company, and 2 of the other ones are related to NASA grants. And oh gosh, we went down to Chile and did some work with the ESO down in Chile, and we're hoping we're trying to get on the ground floor with the ELT. They're looking at the potential savings of using our products to clean the mirrors versus, the traditional method where they, pull a segment out and, restore it every now and then. Yeah. So we've been staying busy, going to a lot of trade shows and getting out there, and we get more customers all the time, and that's good. Things like this, the exposure we get here from you guys and from NEAF, and it's been good for business. So we're slowly growing.
And just so you know, Matt just said his friend's name was David. No, he's saying that's your name. So too much stuff. Matt, you're killing me. You're killing me. Anyway. We'll see. We'll find out. I forgot his name too. So, so Randy.
Good Lord. Hopefully Randy's not on. He'll feel left out that I forgot his name.
No, Randy. Any Northeast Ohio Astro nerds in the chat? Let's see. I don't know if Lima is in Northeast Ohio, and that, I was up there about 2 years ago. Over there, 2 years ago, regarding the Lima Observatory that got robbed, and we donated a set of eyepieces to them.
That's right.
So to replace that, excuse me, let me close the door.
It's a fight.
Well, apparently the person that loves to do work on my house decided to come an hour ago. So yeah, so they're changing moldings, and so if I go muted, that's why. So I just don't want you guys to hear the dogs. But,
Gotcha.
So yeah, so moving on, Dave. I mean, so you're working on a bunch of new projects, right? With the and maybe you could go into a little bit more in depth about the ELT, because there may be some newbies out there that don't know what ELT is or what it's for. So maybe you could go into that a little bit.
Yeah, so I don't probably know. I'm not the encyclopedia for it either, but the ELT is the extremely large telescope. I think it's supposed to be like it's bigger than the TMT, the 30-meter telescope. I believe. I don't remember exactly, but that's going to be built down in Chile, up in, I think, the Atacama Desert.
Yep.
Really big facility, and they're just starting to get off the ground now. So instead of the traditional method for these big telescopes that either have multiple, circular telescopes, or they have a segmented scope like KEC or GTC, they swap out mirrors, and then they have to strip them and re-illuminize them, because they get dirty, they get trash, stuff, bugs and everything get on them, and so they usually have a recycle period, if you will, a replacement period to renew every one of the mirrors over a period of time. But we've shown that if you regularly clean mirrors with the polymer, you can restore them back to close to their original reflectivity. And the only reason you can't get the actual new reflectivity is because there's always some damage, some scratches or something that happen that are just a result of being in use. So they are looking at that. That's the Europeans are heading that. I don't know. I think it's a consortium that involved in that. And so they're looking at using our polymer. We've been over and met with them a couple of times, and so they're looking at using the polymer to restore the mirrors, clean them off on a regular cycle to restore them, versus having to have a bunch of downtime restoring, pulling out a mirror and replacing it and then restoring one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the website right now. It's got a 39-meter primary. 39 meters. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's what 117
I'm shooting with
feet.
a 6-inch primary.
117 foot primary.
Yeah,
And they're segmented. They're segmented, so I think there's something like 350 segments making up that
Yep.
that primary mirror.
Yeah, and there's a couple other mirrors involved. There's 5 different mirrors. That's not you in Chile.
No, but this is me in Rockford. The company I visited a couple years ago is actually building. This is the base for the ENT. This is where they're building the base for the ENT. They're actually building it here, just in Rockford, Illinois, which is not that far from, which is the big city, next to me. So I had a chance to check that out, and when I was there, and they had me, I was like freaking out, like, really? This thing is going down to Chile? And yeah, so this is basically where they were building the base for the ENT, and they're going to send this to Chile to, put the mirrors on and get the telescope put together. So
I'm not going to put that in
fun.
Airplane.
Nope.
Yeah.
No. I wonder what the import cost is for that. So.
the ELT. I mean, the extremely large telescope.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I forgot you did that. I thought that was I thought that was something else, actually. I forgot you did that.
No, yeah.
That's cool.
And I forgot that Eric's just down the road from us. You're really only a couple hours away.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah,
where are you located?
Pardon?
Where are you located again?
Platteville, Wisconsin. It's in the southwest corner of Wisconsin. We call it the tri-state area. Iowa, Illinois, and Wisconsin all come together.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I feel a little hurt that Eric hasn't come visited us yet.
Yeah, really, man.
You know what? That's true, because I remember, David, we talked at one point that I said when you first came on, I got to make a plan to take a drive over there to Platteville to check this place out in person, Yep. So no, that's definitely has to still be on my to-do list. So for sure. Yeah, I have to make a trip that way. That'd be fun. That'd be a fun road trip.
I wish I knew you back when I was picking up my Obsession telescope and from Dave Kriege in Obsession. That's not that far. That's on the other side, I think, but it's not that far away.
Where is it? What was the city?
It's in Wisconsin. It's on the other side, though. It's on the western side, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Couldn't be more than 3 hours away or so.
But I drove over there to pick it up because I didn't want to spend the $800 in freight, so I spent $600 in gas. So but yeah,
that $200. That's more equipment you can buy.
I'm telling you, I bought the upgraded weights for it. I think for $200. So awesome. Let's see. So I'm just looking in the chat here. They want to know if the ESO is going to release their segmented mirror processing math to the public. So we'll see. I doubt it. The secret ingredient in the polymer is Wisconsin badger blood. It's what makes it red.
What?
Wisconsin badger blood.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's Ross Hampton. He's a joker.
It's simulated. No animals were harmed in the making of this product.
Allegedly. Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
I'm going mute for a second. Dogs are barking.
Yeah, no problem. So all right. So you've been working on this project. Working for an extremely large telescope. Now, is this a very similar polymer that we are using with the first contact? How similar is it to what we would purchase consumer wise?
It'd be the exact same thing. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Our red polymer that's here in this little 30 mil or 15 mil vial, this is kind of our all-purpose material. we have a lot of other specialized polymers, but that one works for 80 to 90% of the surfaces that are out there, including, all these mirrors, they're all aluminum. Some of them are silver, but even then you can use the red. So, yep, same stuff, just probably going to be a little bit more than you use on your 10-inch corrector or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
So,
now there's Dan showing, what he, his first contact. I still have mine in one of my shelves over here and stuff like that. I got to get a fresh supply because I have to get some new O-rings too. I got to get some new O-rings for my 2-inch O-rings, for my 2-inch filters, because I have the mounted filters that I would basically glaze that, and then put it in there and then pour a little bit in there just so it can get around like with the dropper, and then just let it sit.
So did your 2-inch O-rings fit your 2-inch filters?
Not, to be honest, they were pretty close. They weren't too bad.
Okay,
if I'm not mistaken,
Dan had a 2-inch filter when we, before we went live, we were talking about stuff, and he's got it sitting there on his plate right now. And it's advertised as a 2-inch filter, and he bought some 2-inch O-rings, but they're clearly too big to fit inside the housing. Mm-hmm. So in that case, his filter was probably measured as the bare glass before it was mounted. So interesting.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yep,
so we did learn tonight, not all filters are made the same, it seems.
Made the same. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the mountings might be different. It depends on the mounting.
Yeah, maybe slightly different.
If they're mounted
possibly,
filters, the metal ring that mounts the filter could be slightly thicker or thinner across, different manufacturers, I guess.
Right.
Now, now Dan's gonna have to end up getting ones, new O-rings for his corrector plate for his 9 1/4 edge that he loves to remind me that he got such a great deal on, So he likes to twist that knife every once in a while. So
and as a reminder for those that are new to the O-ring world and using them, you have to use a material called EPDM. It's an acronym, obviously. I don't know what it stands for off the top of my head, but we've tried other materials, including Viton, which is it's advertised as chemical resistant, but even the Viton O-rings will swell when they're in contact with the polymer. They absorb some of the solvents. Whereas EPDM, I think these are advertised as steam resistant, and they work perfect. They don't expand at all. So if you have I'm going to do a little demo here in a little bit on this little 1-inch filter, and if you get that O-ring, it fits down inside there. Let's see if I can get it up in there. Yeah, so it's fit. There's a nice tight fit right in there, and if it swelled at all, it would pop out. So the EPDM doesn't swell. So you usually can't go down to your local hardware store, because those O-rings that are going to be there are going to be like a butyl vinyl, and that will swell considerably. So EPDM, that's the material for O-rings if you're going to use them to clean items, as optional.
Hey, Rick,
Gotcha.
just so you know, there you go. This is for the 9 1/4, so I already got it. So there you go. 9 1/4. And here's the one, because I was a little bit anal. So here's the one for the secondary outside diameter. So I have one on the inside, one on the outside. So big one, small one. There you go.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
A little. Eric's going to have a little O-ring envy here.
Oh,
No, he has OTA envy.
He's got OTA.
Have OTA. Yeah, have OTA envy.
So just
you know.
to give you a little background on it, a 9 1/4 kind of fell in my lap, where a good customer of mine, a good friend of mine, decided to say, I'm not, I've had it with a hobby, I'm done, and I'm selling everything. So I'm giving you the first shot at everything. So I was like, well, what do you want the 9 1/4 for? $1,100.
Just wow.
Right place, right time.
Which
Right. 3 months old,
exactly.
9 1/4 Edge HD.
3 months old.
And it just came back, and it just came back from Celestron. That was because he said he was convinced that the collimation was off. It was still in the packaging from Celestron. It was recollimated because he wanted it recollimated. So
it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. At some point, I will get one. Maybe not 9 1/4. Maybe I'll get an 11. Maybe I'll get an 11.
Oh, now you're getting envy. You're getting scope envy now. You got who's got the bigger toys, right? That's what it is.
Exactly.
So then I'm gonna have to get the 14. Is that
basically, So yeah, there it is.
That's okay. I still got my 18-inch obsession. So once you beat that, let me know.
See, so there you go. So quit complaining. Don't.
I'm not the one that's complaining, man. It sounds like somebody else is complaining. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
before we get back to Dave, we do have to do a congratulations shout out to one of our members, Nathan Bernard. I think this is Nathan Bernard. Just scored I would assume it's his dream job, working at SpaceX. And if I read the Discord correct, he's going to be working on the super heavy boosters for the Starship at SpaceX. So congratulations to Dave. He's been going.
Wow.
I think he got 6 interviews, and then they flew him out for the last one. Apparently he landed it. So we got to say congratulations to Nate. Great job. And
absolutely
wonderful, awesome job. So I expect some really cool classified pictures. And
exactly.
Exactly. Don't worry, we won't show him on the show either. We won't show him.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, not at all. Does he get a company Tesla?
Yeah. That doesn't crash into the other ones. Anyway, now we can move along. Yeah, right. Hey.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, so we just had to throw a quick shout out to that. But we're really happy to have you back on, Dave, and definitely learning a little bit more about First Contact and what it could do to what could do for the astronomy community and the optics. So I mean, the floor is yours, my friend.
All right. Well, I've got a presentation that I'll do first that talks a little bit about the history of the material, and then after that, I've got several items around me here that I'm going to be doing demonstrations on. So hopefully, if the viewers saw us last or 2 years ago, or if they saw us at me for somewhere and they saw us doing our demos, hopefully they learned something new tonight, even though they've seen us before. So that's the goal.
Cool.
All right, so I'm going to start this this presentation. Just let me know that it's going.
Ready?
All right.
And we have full screen, and just need you to.
And I'm
there. You go.
Okay,
Perfect.
now
you're good to go.
All right. So first contact polymers. What are they, and the history? And for telescopes, they certainly are. So the polymers they're a designer blend of polymers and solvents, and we've been in business for probably over 25 years by now to solve the problem of cleaning the uncleanable. And there's a couple of images later on that talk about that. And then over time, our original formulation was a colorless formula, and then we added the red that most people are used to now. but over time we've developed a whole bunch more. One specific for diamond turn mirrors, for plastics, which are becoming more and more prevalent in the optics world. We have one that's specific for static sensitive items, for gold, for there's one for reflection hiding, because sometimes somebody wants to do surface metrology, and if it's a clear optic, they want to hide that backside surface so that they only get the front surface measurements. And traditionally they use like a black paint or something like that ended up having to be stripped off. So now we've got this black formula that works just like all our other ones. You put it on there, it hides it, and then you peel it off. And then we've got a water-based, not water-based, but water-safe formula, because we were approached by different companies over time wanting to be able to use the polymer to protect an optical surface during like a polishing operation where they have one side of an optic polished and then they want to flip it over, protect the bottom side that's already polished, and then polish the other side. So we've got that now. That just came online about a year ago. We have 3 company-specific formulas that we were hired to develop specifically for them. And then we have 2 more that will be released in the coming months that are related to a couple of NASA SBIRs that we're involved in. So go on here. So our customers historically, obviously, amateur astronomers, or as I like to call them, citizen scientists, because people that have thousands or tens of thousands of dollars of equipment, and they're doing a lot of you all out there are doing real science and being hired, to provide input to NASA and some of these other organizations. So I hate to call them amateur astronomers. I say citizen scientists. But so our polymers were originally developed for NASA, LIGO, all kinds of defense contractors like Lockheed and Raytheon, and then several universities and all the labs within the universities. We have sales in over 80 countries now. We have distributors in, I think, 13 countries. But several years ago, probably 10, 12, 14 years ago now, more than, we figured out that, hey, these citizen scientists, astronomers, they're using it, they're buying it, and they're using it on their scopes. So we started attending the NEAF star parties and NEAF and RTMC and AIC, which unfortunately both RTMC and AIC are now closed down. We started attending those and getting the word out more towards the amateur astronomer world so that you can benefit from the polymers also. So we'll go right in. This is more of the scientific side of stuff. This is a grading. I think it's like a 4,000 line per millimeter grading, and you can see we put a fingerprint on it. We're proving that we can actually clean these. Normally, that would be incredibly hard to clean, and it would most likely get damaged if you were going to clean it in any other method. So doing something like that was a big no-no. And then this is the surface using, I think, a Nomarsky microscope. You can see the surface of the grating itself, and there was a hole made in it in the upper right corner of all the left corner of all the images. You can see a little mark there that was made there so we could focus in on the same area. So we had a brand new one, then we put a fingerprint on it, and then we zoomed on the fingerprint, and then after the fact, in the lower right, that was us removing, or the polymer removing that fingerprint and basically restoring that back to a new condition. And this was one of the things that was uncleanable. This was a $200,000, and this was 15 years ago, infrared focal plane array. And we were able to clean this off with our polymer and restore it. So that's where the cleaning the uncleanable kind of comes from. One of our customers is LIGO, and that's the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory that hopefully everybody's heard about. In 2017, of course, they made their first measurement of an actual gravitational wave, and they proved Einstein's theory. Oh, can I hear you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So they proved Einstein's theory of gravitational waves, and so LIGO is one of our users, and we have an image here. This is one of their very precise and very expensive test masses that's installed in its triple suspension system. They've got it coated with first contact there, cleaning it in situ. And this was our first NASA SBIR, or Small Business Grant. It was the NASA Starshade, which is still kind of lingering out there. It said 2017 to 2020. That's how long our grant lasted. But of course, funding being that it is, I think it lost some of its funding and it's been pushed back quite a ways. I'm not sure of the launch date now. But we were hired to develop a polymer that they can clean these edges of these little petals that are there in the image you see, because just a small piece of dust on one of those petals, and that thing is like it was like 120 meters across or something like that, very, very large sun shield that blocked the sunlight, the starlight from a star system, and then they could use that. That's the proposal, is to use that to then identify transiting planets, or not transiting, but planets that are going around that star. But a little dot of polymer or dust on one of those petals would be enough to break enough of the light coming through that it might potentially hide a planet. So we worked on that and developed a procedure for them to clean those petals on that Starshade. And now we are actually working on 2 other grants. One of them is for planetary protection. It's to clean spacecraft and components of any potential biologics that we could send out into space, so that we don't contaminate another world. And then the other one is a polymer to clean and protect UV, IR, and X-ray mirrors for NASA. And that's 2 more of the polymers that were in development that will someday be released out to other uses. This is one of our other applications, the National Ignition Facility out in Livermore. They have like 192 lasers that shoot laser energy at a very small target, and they are trying to create energy that it creates more energy by the explosion, if you will, creates more energy than it cost or that it took to create the explosion itself. And so they use our polymer to clean some of their optics there and some of their integration spheres. This was an infrared optic, germanium. I think it was germanium lens off of an infrared seeker. It's just one of the other applications that can be used. The polymer can be used to clean with. So this is how clean the polymer can get. This is a white light interferometry image of a diamond-turned copper optic, and you can actually see on the right side of that image, you can see where it looks like little peaks and valleys, and then on the left side, there's even more. So those 2 different halves are the demarcation line between the clean side and the dirty side, and you can see that these diamond turning marks, down at this level are very prevalent. But on the left side is all the contamination that was on that diamond turned optic, and this is its scale is 1/10 of a micron. So you're talking down. This is actually showing nanoscale particulates that are being removed. And then here's another one. This is a AFM, or atomic force microscope, image of porphyrin nanorods. And each one of these two images was only 10 by 10 microns by itself. But on the left one, you can see the little porphyrin nanorods, and then they applied polymer onto this the surface and removed those nanorods, and you can see that gone on the right side. So we're cleaning. You know, we advertise and talk about being molecular level cleanliness, and you know, we're proving it by these constant testing that we're doing. And starting to get into some of the other uses, the GTC telescope down in the Canary Islands, we were down there and we did a test down there. This was just, it's a segmented mirror. I think there's 32 or 36 mirrors, segments that make up that scope. And this just shows how dirty each one of the segments can be before they actually finally, there's one clean section, and then they get very dirty before they swap them out. And this is a little test, where they had recently removed a segment, and they stripped these segments and then fully recoat them. So we did some tests on this to show that we can actually clean these things off, and we restored them back to within about 1.5% of their original reflectivity, and they looked that bad.
Wow.
This is 2 months ago. We were contracted to go out and clean the mods, or the multi-object double spectrograph, some optics on the mods units that are used on the Large Binocular Telescope out at Mount Graham. And there was about 8 or 10 optics within each one of the mods. The mods is that orange and black satellite looking thing there in the upper right. That's actually about as big. You can kind of tell by the size of the toolbox there, about the size of a big bread van or something. And we got up inside of them and cleaned a bunch of the optics. The lower right there is the blue visible light camera lens that we cleaned. That was about 10 inches by 12 inches. So that was fun, interesting. You know, got to meet some great people up there, and clean these things, and they were very happy with the results. It's primarily operated by the people at the Ohio State University, and there's some other folks that deal with it. But all the folks there were very happy, and we trained them up so that they can use the polymer next time, so that they can keep these optics clean on a regular schedule. This is an optical tube assembly at Vandenberg Air Force Base, and inside of that was this sound deadening or insulating foam. You can see where it had been glued in, and it had over time fallen out, and that's what happened when it broke down. The old foam, it dried up and crumbled off, and that's what happened to the mirror. All that junk fell onto the mirror surface. So they took it apart. They applied this was our original colorless formula that they used on this one here. And then there is the after effect. Wow. They were looking at of all the optics that they clean out at Vandenberg Air Force Base at the optics depot group out there. They were spending about $1.5 million per year disassembling and re-illuminizing these different optics, or just cleaning them and putting them back together. And using our polymer, they were able to save about 90% of those costs just by re-cleaning them versus re-illuminizing and doing it in situ as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, what does that mean for the guy with a Schmidt-Cassegrain or an obsession or a refractor out in the observatory in the backyard? Well, what can be used on these massive telescopes and on LIGO optics can be used on yours also. This was one of our customers, Andrew Barton. His wife Jennifer is now, I think, the president of SPIE. But he's one of our customers, and this was kind of a before and in work and an after shot of his Skywatcher refractor. And then this was a 12-inch RC Optical Systems mirror. It's a gentleman out in Arizona named James Olson. He was doing some restoration on it, and you can see how nasty it was before and after. And this is one by Myron Wasudia, and I probably destroyed his last name, but he's the director of a small DMRSO observatory. And you can just, this was pollen. Pollen's really kind of nasty in his area and in a lot of areas too. But you can see the before and after there of how well that works. And all these, we have a lot of images, and we have testimonials on our website's testimonial page, and I'll show you that a little bit later on. Oh, and we're done. That's the end of the slideshow. So what I'm going to do while I'm still screen sharing is I'm going to go to our website, and can you see our website right now?
Yep.
Yeah, we see you.
Okay. Yep. All right. So for our amateur, citizen scientists, we have a couple of different ways you can get to places to either look at procedures or look at the product that you need. And the first thing I'm going to do is go to some flow charts that we developed. So if you hover over this instructions and videos, that's one way to get to those. And you'll see this menu over here that says telescope product finder instructions. Click on that. It takes you to a telescope finder product, our telescope's web page. So there's a couple of ways you can get then to the product finder. You can click it here, or you can scroll to the bottom, and there's 3 different links here that open up different tabs. Now I see if this works for me here. Okay, so this is a flow chart for casting telescopes. And can you all see that?
Yeah, it just needs to be zoomed in a little bit.
Okay, let me, there you go.
There you go, perfect.
Okay. So, this is a flow chart. It starts out, I want to clean my SCT, and then it's question, do you want more than, in other words, do you want to buy polymer? So do you only want to clean it once, or do you want to have enough for more cleaning? And then you go on if there's water spots, because that involves a 2-step process. And ultimately, after you flow it down here, all those links, the blue links you see, they are links to the product on our website. And then there's the videos that we have specific to doing doing the cleaning process on a corrector plate. So that's one of them. And then I'll go back here. Nope, I need to go backwards. And then we'll go to refracting telescopes. And this is another flow chart. Take just a second here, and it'll go to full screen here once it's up. A little bit. There we go. Kind of loading slow. Let me see if I can increase the size of that a little bit. There we go.
There you go, perfect.
There you go.
Yep. Kind of the same process, do you want to only clean it once, or do you want to have enough polymer to clean it more than one time? And you just follow that flow chart. And once again, we have videos up on our YouTube video channel to show how to either clean it with, if there's water spots, or if there's not water spots. And I'm actually going to do a demo tonight to show you how to do the process if you've got water spots on a refractor. And then the third one is not a it's not a flow chart. It's just a chart that shows differences. And let me give it a second here to get up to as it loads up here. Should go up a little bit.
Oh, between doing glass and mirrors.
Right. So this breaks it down by kind of your mirror size, whether it's in inches or millimeters, and then it gives you a kit that will work to clean those different sizes. Yep. So a handy thing that you can go to, you can find it yourself by going there, And then we also have on our product finder thing here, we have these different applications. Now, if you do it steps you along. So the first one I'm going to stick to citizen science / astronomer. That's your application. And then what are you cleaning, whether it's a refractor or Schmidt-Cassegrain or different types of, different things that are out there. So I'll just go to refractor, and then it opens up this next one. You can select your kit. And I think it wants, well, I found a problem with our website. That didn't work. That link didn't work. So we'll have to fix that. But that happens every now and then. And then let's see if this one works. Okay, so the select your O-rings. This then takes it to our O-ring page where you can select different sizes of O-rings. So that product finder works pretty well, and I'm going to make a note to get that refractor page fixed. There you go, and we'll get that going so it's up there for you. But then you can start over, and if you wanted to do something else, you could do citizen scientist. No, it's going to make me go up here and refresh. There you go. Now it goes there, and you can go to like Schmidt-Cassegrain. Oh, wow, that one's not working either. I don't know what's going on there, but we'll get those taken care of hopefully tomorrow morning. So that's available. And once again, here on this page, there's the product finder instructions again, and there's some more information here. But I will get out of this now, and we'll go back to the non-sharing the screen.
Hey, Dave, you got a quick question from Tom Peter. How about cleaning a refractor with a non-removable dew shield?
Okay, hold on just a second.
There you go.
There we go.
You're good.
Mine was it just kept
you
layering.
got the Doctor Who thing going.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. What was the question again now?
Cleaning a refractor with a non-removable dew shield.
It's a little more difficult, obviously, because you're working down into a hole, if you will. But we have some pipettes. I have a little one here. These little pipettes like this. You can see how small it is when I hold it up to me. But we have longer ones that are about a foot long. You can use to apply the polymer. It is more difficult, and we don't have one available that we can do a video on, but maybe at some point we could, borrow one or go somewhere to actually videotape something like that. It's just the process is the same. It's just a little bit harder because you're working down inside of a I don't know, 6 or 8 inch or maybe even 10-inch deep cavity, and it's probably only going to be 4 or 5 inches in diameter. More of a challenge, but the good news is with a dew shield on there, I rather doubt he has any water spots, so that eliminates one of the two-step processes, and he can just go right to using polymer.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's probably
So, I'm going to show you a kit first because some people may have not seen one. I'm going to move my camera down because I'm kind of low tech, so I'm just going to pivot it down here to the desktop and show. So this is how we sell the kit. We sell the polymer generally in kits with varying numbers of these 15 milliliter and 30 milliliter vials. We do that. We package it this way because it's flammable, and carriers all charge a dangerous goods fee if a container has more than 30 milliliters of polymer or flammable material in it. So by packaging it like this, we avoid, it's like a $45 dangerous goods fee that is cost as part of the shipment. So we package it this way, and we avoid that fee, and we can ship it as accepted quantities. But if there comes a point where if you get a kit, if you have a lot of equipment, it makes more sense. We do sell it in liters and half liters, and it just makes more sense because the more you buy, the less expensive it is. So it kind of overcomes that dangerous goods fee. Yeah. But that's one of our kits. This is our Red Deluxe kit, and that's kind of what they look like. Of course, they come with instructions, and every one of them has a little pipette with it now. And we have a lot of different ones available on our website. So how do you know that it's safe for your optic? How do the manufacturers do this? They do what's called a tape test. And when they do the deposition of the coating, whether it's gold, silver, or whatever, they use a specific type of tape, and they adhere it to the surface of they maybe coat a 50 or 100 of these, something like that, depending on the size, of course. And then they have one that's a witness sample. And after they're done, they take a piece of tape, then they put it onto the mirror, and there's parameters, and then they pull it off. And if the tape does not remove the coatings are adhered properly, and the coatings are correct. Now, our polymer only exhibits 1/20th the adhesion, or 5% of the adhesion of the tape that they call out in these ASTM standards for the tape test. That's how you know it's safe for whether it's a mirror, aluminum mirror, or if it's a coated optic like a corrector plate. All these typically have coatings on them, and they all are tested the same way with that tape test. So that's how you know that they're safe, and how we know that they're safe.
Cool.
So I'm going to go right into how does it work. So I'm gonna, obviously it was a little hard, would have been kind of hard for me to fit a entire 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope here. So you usually have your retaining ring around the perimeter, and like Dan was showing earlier, his two different O-rings for his Schmidt-Cassegrain, his Celestron. So around the perimeter, you don't have to have O-rings. They're just a safety measure that if you're not careful applying the polymer, if you don't have a steady hand, the O-ring acts as a dam to stop the polymer from flowing under the secondary mount or under your retaining ring, because under here is typically a gasket of some type, and if the polymer will quite often absorb into it, and it won't just easily peel off, it'll tear out and might leave a little bit of residue. So we recommend using them, but they're not necessary. In this case, just so I don't have to work around that, I'm going to put it out of the side. And for all Schmidt-Cassegrains, we just recommend the pour and spread method. You pour some polymer on, and then you spread it out using a brush. Now, if you haven't used the polymer before, I recommend you start small. Start with a small amount until you figure out the flow characteristics. I'm going to pour some on here, and you'll see that it. That was probably about 2 milliliters right there, and you can see it didn't really flow much. The polymer does have some viscosity to it, so just start small, and obviously it works if you can put your optic, whatever it is, in a horizontal position. So then you just use your brush, and you're dragging the polymer using the surface tension of the polymer, and you're spreading it out. And I'm not going to do this whole corrector plate. That's why I don't have a bigger brush. We offer bigger brushes for bigger things. But so you can see the bristles on the brush, and what you don't do is you don't press so hard you're making the bristles deflect. The idea is that you're not spreading, or you're not touching any potential dust or pollen contamination that's on the surface and dragging it around that could create micro scratches. So that's the general idea with the non-spray formula. You just pour some on, you spread it out, and then you just keep going around. And I just keep going around until I have this completely covered. But I'm not going to do the whole thing tonight. And the polymer is as thick as that is, and I can kind of hold that up there too. You can kind of see it a little bit better. That would dry in about 30 minutes, and then once it's dry, it'll peel right off. So that's that process, the kind of pour and spread process. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is show you our spray application, just a basic spray application. I see Dan's got his going there in the upper corner, pouring on a little bit. Now, Dan, you need to put a little bit more polymer on there so you're not deflecting those bristles on the brush. You're giving a good example of what not to do.
You suck, Dan.
That's why I'm doing this on a really, really busted up filter. So yeah. So you just apply enough that you're using that surface tension to spread and trying not to deflect those bristles. But if you don't care about a few scratches on your optic, you do it just like Dan does.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan. I had to throw you under the bus a little bit.
that's right.
Good job. Good job, Dave. Good job.
This
Well
is the first
done.
time I'm doing this, so give me some slack here.
No slack
All right.
for you.
So we also have a spray formula. Now this is just a little spray bottle that comes with all of our spray kits, 2.8 ounce bottle. And when you get the polymer in a kit that looks like this, and you ordered a spray formula, all the vials would be spray formula, and you just transfer them into the bottle to spray. Now the sprayer isn't going to make a really pretty spray pattern like a paint spray can or a spray gun that, for automotive paint. That's not the idea. The idea is just to atomize it enough to get it onto the surface of your mirror. And I like to work, when I'm spraying, I like to work from the center out, and then I work from the near half over to the far half, because if you're shooting polymer, for you guys here, if you're shooting polymer right on that edge, you're going to have overspray on there, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult to remove the dry polymer once it's dry. So if you start from here and you spray, in your view, if I sprayed this way, you're avoiding that edge and you're not spraying polymer directly at that edge. So your wet film is ending at the edge. So I'm going to spray a little bit on here.
Put some polymer on that. Put some polymer on that.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
There.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll get this going here. Get it to come out. There we go. And you just move across the surface, and you can see it's not very. I'm doing a thin coat. Your first layer is very thin. It's just what's called a tack coat. So I did the half for me that's facing away from me. Now I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees. Or if you're working on a small table, you can just move to the other side. And then I'm just going to apply my second coat on there. You can see I'm working towards the center out. And you just make sure you have a thin, continuous coat on the polymer. And you can see it has kind of a mottled effect to the surface. We call it an orange peel in the sometimes. And you wait for that to dry. The spray polymer dries very quick in probably just 3 or 4 minutes. This is going to be dry enough that I could actually touch it. Probably not dry enough to peel, but dry enough to touch for sure. And then you would apply a second coat. So somebody make a little magic noise, and voila. Here we have. Oh, look at that. There we go. So here's our mirror, our same mirror with 3 coats. You want to put about 3 coats of the spray polymer on there. That way it's thick enough to have the mechanical strength to hold together without tearing.
Obviously, a parabolic mirror because it's pulled towards the middle.
Cooled a little bit in the middle. Yep. Not much, but a little bit. And there's different ways to remove the polymer, and I'm going to demonstrate each one. In this case, for unmounted optics, if you have access to the edge, like if you, for instance, if you have access to the edge, you unmounted your Dobsonian, Newtonian mirror or whatever, these little peel tabs, they work wonderful. You can stick them right on there. And use that as a handle to peel the polymer. Now, I want to be clear that the peel tab goes on after the polymer is completely dry. Our instructions say that, all of our videos say that, and unfortunately, we've still had a couple of people that contacted us and said, "Oh, I put the peel tab down, and then I put the polymer over it, and now I left a bunch of residue. What do I do?" I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's just an adhesive glue, but you gotta clean it several more times to kind of break it down and get it off. So put the peel tab on after the polymer is dry. So you stick that on there, and because the polymer does kind of roll over the edge just a little bit as you're applying it, I like to stick the peel tab and kind of get my finger down over the edge. You can see how I'm sticking that down there. And that gets a hold of the edge of the dry polymer film. And then you just pick it up, and you can see that's coming off. I'm going to get it a little bit closer so you can get a bird's eye view or a better view.
There you
can
go.
see it right there. Yeah, there we go. Nope. This is hard. There we go. And that just is peeling off. I mean, I'm using, you can see I'm using just my fingertips and barely peeling that or pulling that thing, and it's coming off there. And voila.
Yeah.
There it is.
A clean mirror surface.
Crystal clear,
Now,
beautiful mirror.
Now you can see the polymer film. In the center, it was fairly thick, but on the edge, it's pretty thin. But even on the edge where it was thin, you can see I'm pulling that, and you can see how strong that is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It finally tore, but it's very strong. So if you didn't apply enough and it tears, the answer is just apply more polymer, and then it will all come off. Yeah. So it's pretty strong. It'll peel if you get it thick enough, and it doesn't have to be very thick at all to peel.
We have
So that's how to do.
Question here, there, Dave.
Okay.
From Mike, he was asking, do you wind up using the same amount or less when using a sprayer? Is it easier to do it this way? Is it easier to use the sprayer?
Well, I'll start with the easier part. It depends. If you've got a Dobsonian mirror, yeah, the spray polymer is the way to go, because you can just, they're usually, even if you don't take it out of the mirror cell is, you can just do a little taping around the perimeter when it's in the mirror cell, or if you want to take it out and put it on the tabletop, it's just very quick. You saw how quick I applied that first layer. And I mean, a 6-inch or a 4-inch, yeah, there might be an argument that you could use the pour and spread, and it would be just as fast to do 1 layer of pour and spread versus 3 layers of spray. But the spray is really easy on these Dobsonians. I mean, you can use it on anything, but you just have to protect. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to bring in my corrector plate example here again, and pretend that it's mounted, and this is already dry over here. I'm not pulling any off on my finger. So that's your mounted corrector plate on a Schmidt-Cassegrain. In this case, you don't want to get the polymer. Most of the time, these retaining rings here, they're plastic. The polymers have solvents like acetone glue, so it's going to stick to it, and it won't just release off of it. So you got to protect that. You got to protect the secondary mount. So it's just easier on a Schmidt Cassegrain, instead of taping everything off and making sure the polymer overspray isn't going anywhere, to just use a non-spray. But for the bigger Dobsonians and Newtonians, or even if it's a bigger, start getting up into like a 14 or a 16 inch, like an RC or CDK, something like a plane wave, big plane wave, then the payoff to prep the area and then spray is better than trying to do a non-spray.
So when you say prep the area, I mean, are you talking about just using like masking tape to mask these areas off, and you could just spray over that?
Right. Yeah. You don't want to get the polymer on your tube assembly. You don't want to get it on your secondary mount. Yeah. So when I say prep the area, it's just taping things off and protecting it from the polymer.
But you can typically just masking tape is fine.
Yes and no. If you apply the polymer in the light coats like I did with the spray, it works fine. But if you apply a lot, the masking tape typically is not it's not chemical resistant. So when you peel it off, the polymer, if you put a lot on, can start to break down the adhesives. It kind of flows underneath the edge of it a little bit, breaks down the adhesives right on the edge, and might make like a little bit of a gooey residue that you have to to remove.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but in general, let me do something here. I'm going to go to screen share again for a second, and hopefully I come back, and I'm going to show you how a guy taped off. I think it was a plane wave. Yeah, it was a plane wave. So I'm going to go to camera view. What am I doing here? Oh, that's the camera view. That's the wrong. That's not what I wanted to do. I want to go to screen sharing.
Yep.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, that's better.
There you go.
All right, you can see us now.
Yep.
Okay, so let me refresh. Go to just to get this product finder started, and then I'm going to go to Citizen Scientist, and then CDK and RC cleaning. Are you removing the mirror? No. Okay. So can you see this?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure
Okay.
Okay. So this was I think a 16-inch plane wave. This was actually at the University of Western Australia in Australia. And you can see how around the perimeter, they taped off, in the top image, they used a masking material. I think it actually was just a trash bag to protect the tube, the outer tube. Second one here, you can see where they use like an absorbent material, just like rolled up hand towels or something around the perimeter, and then they taped down over the secondary there. It's a little bit different view there. Now there's other ways to do the taping, and I could show you that in a video if I could get to it. This is actually using the pre-treatment process that I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you in a little bit. This is how to use the pre-treatment process on a like a CDK or an RC system polymer application. So in general, when I say talk about protecting, you're using some type of a material, whatever it is, whether it's rolled up towels or paper. We have a material called Quick Mask on our website. That's it there. So let me get out of screen sharing mode here. There we go, and get back to me here. There's different ways you can protect the surrounding structure. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this Dobsonian, and I'm going to do the pre-treatment, the two-step cleaning method. If you have your mirror out and you had a lot of dew events to where there was a dew, it flowed down over your top of your mirror, or you've got a lot of pollen. Pollen is really difficult to remove, and the solvents in the polymer won't always break down the pollen, the adhesive, if you will, that's in the pollen. And surprisingly, a water-based cleaner will. So we have this water spot pre-treatment here. I'm going the wrong way. This is one of our 2.8-inch bottles again. And what you do is you spray this on first, and you just keep the surface wet. So I'm going to spray some of this on there. And you can see the surface is kind of getting hazy. It's no longer reflective, and you can see the water getting on there. So you just put that on there, and let's see if I can get a good view of it. Nope, I got to go the other way.
Yeah, there you go.
There,
yep,
you can
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just, there's no set in stone dwell time for how long you want to keep this on there. Now you do need to keep it wet, and the minimum really I would say is 10 minutes to give this pre-treatment time to break down the whatever's adhering the schmutz to your mirror. And you want to keep it wet, so you can always come back over it after a couple minutes. You might notice it start to dry, so you can put a little bit more on and just keep it wet. If you can wait 30 minutes, if you can keep it wet for 30 minutes, that's kind of the optimum, because we figured out that some stuff just will adhere, and it takes that long to break it down to get it to loosen up. Now, if you put too much on here, if it puddled into the middle, I recommend dumping off any excess. Now, I don't think any of it will come off here just because I didn't put much on. So I say that because the more of the pre-treatment you have on the surface, the more polymer it takes to coalesce with the water-based pre-treatment. It is designed, our pre-treatment is designed to coalesce or mix with the polymer, but it takes more. So the less water, if you've got a whole bunch on there and it pooled in the center, if you've got something like this, pour the excess off, and that way it doesn't take as much polymer to mix into it. So now I'm going to start putting polymer right over top of that pre-treatment, and you'll see at first, I'll get this first layer on here, and you'll see it's kind of milky looking. You can kind of see how it looks milky.
Yeah.
Okay, that's because I haven't put enough polymer on here for the pre-treatment and the polymer to mix. So this is the case where when you're applying the polymer, or the polymer, you need to apply more right away to get that so that first wet layer will absorb that pre-treatment. Okay, so I've got a little spot right here. You can't see it, but I'll kind of show it to you here again if I do it right. Yeah, you can see one spot. Nope, I want to tilt it this way. Right here, where there's still a little bit of a kind of like a milkiness.
Yeah.
There, that's
right there. Yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
See, it's a little kind of white, kind of milky. There's another area down here, but that's actually air bubbles. I've introduced a few air bubbles in the spraying process. So I'm gonna put a little bit more polymer on that area up there until that kind of milky appearance goes away. And that should do it right there. Now there's a lot of air bubbles in it, so it's going to take a few minutes for those air bubbles to release and off gas and go away. You can kind of see that area right now, but I'm going to put that aside. Well, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray a little bit more around the perimeter here, because this is already starting to dry up here. See that? I can touch that, and I'm not coming away with any on my finger. So that's already dry. That thin polymer layer at the perimeter is already starting to dry. So I want that a little bit thicker so I have thick enough to peel. So I'm just going to go around the perimeter and put some more polymer right around the perimeter. And I know I'm spraying it towards myself, but I'll get it off the edge later. Okay, so I think that's going to be thick enough now, even on the edge, to peel once it's dry. Now I'll hold it up here. Okay, so this area down here you can see is now the milkiness has gone away. That was just air bubbles. And here you can see that's, I got it. There we go again. This is just now some air bubbles still trapped in that area, and it's thick enough. It's actually flowing towards the center. So I'm going to set that aside, let that dry, and when it dries, you'll see that cloudiness there in the center, and all those air bubbles have released. And we'll peel that one in a little bit.
Cool.
So, do we have any questions that came up in what I've shown so far before I go on to the next item?
Let me see. Oh no, they're making some bad jokes in there about something else unrelated.
Yeah, just remember schmutz is a technical term. Exactly.
Yeah.
But
schmutz is a technical term. Exactly.
Although we did have a comment from Kinda Upset Loki. He said that you should make an ASMR video of peeling the polymer off because it's very ASMR, she said.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so then
let's
go ahead,
see.
Eric.
Yeah, there was one that was just, and I'm sure we can talk about it a little bit later, but is there some discount available for viewers?
There is, and I'm going to get to that at the end here.
There you go. So there's that answer to that question.
I can talk about it now. I mean, every event we go to, like NEAF, we offer a discount there. And if you're on our mailing list, prior to us going to NEAF, we always send out an email ahead of time that lists the discount code. And so that discount code is Eclipse 24. I'm sorry, Eclipse 2024. And on our website, in the shopping cart, there is a spot where you can put the discount code, and it's a 15% discount. And that is still available now. I think it's active until the end of November. So there's a discount available. Yep.
And ironically, on your pattern there, on your table, you have an eclipse pattern.
It looks like an eclipse.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, there you go. There's the prominence around the outside.
Corona.
Yeah. All you need is a little triangle prominence, and
yeah. So I will go on to the next item then, and that was just going to do. I was just going to do a little filter and show the O-ring process. So I stuck the O-ring in there earlier, but I'm going to just pull that out. Where's my
little toothpick?
Yeah, I have my little toothpick that helps me pick small things out, and well, I have a toothpick somewhere. All right, I'll get it out here. There we go. I got it out. So when you're using an O-ring, if you just set it in place without doing anything with it, the chances are when you pour polymer in, it could potentially lift off the surface of the of your whatever you're protecting. And so we recommend that you take your polymer and you brush a little layer, a wet layer around on your O-ring. Now I've already got this one treated, so I'm not going to do it again. And it's a thin layer, and it gives it just enough of, here's another technical term, stiction.
I remember that from the last time. Stiction.
We have schmutz and stiction. So it gives it just enough that when you put it in place, it it kind of sticks itself a little bit to the optical surface, but it also, what it does is when the polymer flows up to it, when you're applying the polymer, it will kind of interact with the liquid polymer that you're putting on, and it will stop the flow. So I'm just going to do this real quick. In this case, I'm going to use one of our pipettes.
I like how you're doing this on the smaller filter to show how simple.
Yeah, that's a 1-inch. I mean, I actually, we have O-rings. We can make custom O-rings any size, but we have a lot of pre-made, pre-sized O-rings, and it just so happens this is a perfect fit for this 1-inch. So something this small, I like to use a pipette and put a few drops in, because you can really control how much you're putting on, and you can see I put about 6 or 8 drops on there. I'm just going to set that aside and put my cap onto the brush. Oh, no, I need that. Sorry. So then you just take your little applicator bottle brush, and you gently push that out to where it's contacting the O-ring. The idea isn't to pour so much into the center that it flows out, because you could potentially, just like a real dam, you could potentially overtop the dam.
Right.
So you just push it out there until it's contacting the O-ring.
Enough to cover the bottom.
Right. Yep. And I got one more area right here that I need to go around, and then that's it. So, and there's different ways to remove this the polymer when it's inside a mounted optic like this. I talked about earlier, when you have an unmounted optic, these peel tabs, they work wonderful to remove it from an unmounted optic. But when you have a mounted optic, you don't want to go and stick that adhesive onto this here, because you're going to get a little bit of a residue onto it. So there's a couple of ways to do it. You can use something as simple as unwaxed dental floss. And it won't focus on it there, but that's just a little chunk of unwaxed dental floss. And what we do, just to give it a little bit more surface area, is we kind of splay the ends out. And I'll put that in there in a minute. Or the other thing you can use is, this is a chemical resistant mesh. And you can kind of see it there. Where am I at? Better there.
Yep.
You can see it there.
Yeah.
Just a tightly woven nylon mesh. Yeah. I really like using this because it's kind of stiff, and you can get it where you want. I'm going to use this on a CCD camera in a minute, but so I'll talk about that later. So back to the floss. So what you don't want to do, or what you want to do, is wait for the polymer to start to thicken. It takes 3 or 4 or 5 minutes for it to get viscous. You don't want to put the mesh or the floss right into the polymer right away, because it will sink to the surface, and then it will trap a really, really thin layer of mesh underneath of it, and it will probably leave a little bit of polymer residue on your optic. Now, that's not the end of the world. You can just re-clean it and wait a little bit longer before you embed your mesh or your floss. But if you just wait, like I said, 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, then it's thick enough that it won't sink. And actually, you can kind of see here, I can tilt it. Hopefully you can see the surface is starting to get, I can't catch the light.
Thick.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
moving.
catch the light.
It's thickening. It's thickening up a bit. Yeah, it's thickening up quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down. This is why I like the mesh versus the floss, but I wanted to demonstrate them both. So you put it along an edge. There, I've got it stuck in there. And then you can see it's sitting on top of it. Didn't actually go down into, it's kind of stuck to the polymer, but it's not all the way in. So then you take your brush again, put a little bit more polymer over top of it. And now that's, you're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're embedding that in there. That's the jelly, I guess. So then that will take a while to dry. So I'm going to just set that aside for now. And And once that dries, I'll show you how it peels out. So the next thing, all right, is a refractor. How do I clean my refractor? Unfortunately, this one doesn't have a tall dew shield on it, and obviously I removed the front objective off of this one because once again, kind of hard to do the video with a big refractor right here. But the process is the same whether it's installed. Obviously, point it get it horizontal. That works the best. And once again, I have an O-ring already sitting here, and the O-ring is coated. You can kind of see it's kind of shiny. So I'm going to set this back in place here because it's already coated, and I'm just going to get it to where I want it. And you can see there's a little bit of an area around the perimeter there where you can see some of the objective is still showing through. You can get a custom size O-ring that is perfectly fit right to the edge if you want, or in this case, that last 1/8 of an inch around the perimeter is out of your clear aperture anyway, and it doesn't have to be perfectly clean. You're worried about the center. So we're going to be doing the 2-step cleaning process using the pretreatment and the polymer on this, but you can't just, we strongly recommend not just going and spraying the pretreatment in there because once again, it's going to be going all over your mount and your retaining ring. So what we've come up with is this is a lint-free cloth, or actually a low lint cloth. And you soak this down with the pretreatment, and I'm going to do that now over here. And you get it wet, and then you just set that gently in place. The idea is you're not scrubbing, you're not going to use it to scrub the surface. You're just going to use it to set it in place. So now we have this wet surface sitting on there, and it's trapping that moisture underneath of the cloth. Now I've got my O-ring down there, so it's kind of acting as a dam. And if you're going to leave it on there for 30 minutes, I would recommend applying a little bit more pre-treatment on. You can drip it on. I don't have another pipette here. I use this one for the polymer, but you can use a pipette and then drip a few more drops over top of this just to keep it wet. And once again, you don't want to apply so much that it inundates your O-ring around the perimeter. So leave that on there. Once again, 10 minutes minimum, 30 minutes maximum. And you can, like I said, apply more pre-treatment to get it to dissolve those nasty whatever schmutz stuff that's on there. Yeah. So we're gonna accelerate time here a little bit, and it's been 30 minutes. So now what you don't want to do is let that pre-treatment dry on the surface. I think I mentioned that before, but I'll mention it again. So I'm going to remove this now, and then you immediately come behind it with the polymer, and you start applying some in the middle. And these optics are obviously convex, so it's going to have a tendency to try to run to the edge. So start in the center, and then you move that polymer out. Once again, using the surface tension of the polymer to spread, and you just keep going around until you get it down and it's contacting the O-ring, and you're trying to get it on there. The pre-treatment might dry a little bit where it was thinner, but the good news is the polymer will remove some of the dried pre-treatment. You just don't want it dried in big spots of it. I'm just going to keep going here, get it down there, and now I'm starting to get over to the O-ring right there. Get a little bit more over here, and then once we get this fully coated, we'll set this aside. And if I wanted to be really careful, once again, I would be using a pipette for the application versus just pouring it on, but I've done this quite a few times, so I'm okay. I'm okay with pouring it because I can kind of control it. But you can use a pipette if you want to. That's and like I said, start small and work your way up as far as how much you apply at one time. Get just a little bit more right here. Get that down onto the edge. All right. So we've got that all the way around. It's fully coated now, except for that little bit that exposed at the edge. And just like on the filter, I'm going to wait 3 or 4 minutes for this to start to thicken. And then I'm going to use one of these pieces of chemical resistant mesh. And to get it to stand off the surface, just bend it. You bend a little bit into an L shape. So it's like that. And then and then it'll stand up off the surface. And I got to wait a few more minutes for that to start to thicken. So when I set it in place, it doesn't sink. So are there did anybody pop any questions in?
The only question I had, Dave, was when I noticed you sprayed the pre-treatment on that cloth, you sprayed it on the top, but then you put it down on the lens.
Right.
So you're totally soaking that thing completely, or?
Right. Yes. You're soaking.
So that's soaked all the way through.
Right.
Okay.
Right. You want to put enough on there that it's soaking through.
Okay.
Not so it's dripping off, and it looks like an eave spout or something, but just wet enough that it's going to get your hand wet on the bottom side when you're using it.
Gotcha.
And while I'm thinking about it, you'll notice I'm not using any gloves.
Right.
That's fine. You don't have to wear gloves when you're working with the polymer. It's we jokingly refer to it as being as safe as a mixture of fingernail polish and vodka. It's about that dangerous.
Okay.
So
just
yeah,
don't drink it, Loki. Don't drink it.
Yeah. That's always a good. Yeah, don't drink it because it's not actually vodka. But it's as safe as you can be without being water.
Sure.
And it, so you don't have to wear gloves. Now, if you're working with your optics, of course, and once they're clean, you might want to put a pair of gloves on so you're not getting them dirty again, get fingerprints on them, because that's what happens. And it always amazes me, these $10,000 optics out in the world out there, and we hear about them getting fingerprints on them, and it's like, how did that happen? Or $500,000.
Matt Draxler.
Yep.
Matt Draxler asked, "Does the polymer ever expire?"
No, it doesn't. The short answer is no, because all of the bottles and vials that we ship have a seal in the cap that stops the solvent evaporation. And the only concern is solvent evaporation. It would get to the point where, if you left this cap off and you left it sit for 2 weeks somewhere, you would see it starting to get more and more viscous, to the point where it maybe wouldn't flow. You could see kind of how liquidy that is right there. I kind of describe it as like pancake syrup. But anyway, so all the bottles, they have caps on them and seals on them that stop solvent evaporation. And if you just keep it in a cool environment, and I'll talk about a dark environment here in a minute, but if you keep it in a cool environment, this stuff will last for years. You can even, if you have a chemical refrigerator, you can keep it in there. Also, it would be dark, of course, it would be cool. And the cooler it is, the slower the evaporation rate of solvents. So, if you really want to make sure absolutely positive this stuff is good for the next 5 years, you can put it in a refrigerator. Now, I can't say you can put it in your home refrigerator because it's flammable and it's supposed to be a chemical refrigerator or a flame, what is it? explosion-proof refrigerator. But I'll just leave that there. We've actually had a long-term storage test going on where we've had some of our red polymer in a chemical refrigerator for over 8 years now. And when we pull it out, we let it warm up, because you do want to let it warm up to room temperature. It's just like brand new.
Okay.
So there's no shelf life. Now, the one thing about it is I will talk about is if you took this bottle or any of the bottles and you set them out in the sunlight for 2-3 weeks, a month or something like that, it's going to start losing its color. There is the colorant that's in the backbone of the polymer is light sensitive. So it will start to turn colorless. Eventually, it will maybe turn kind of a pinkish or orangish color, and eventually it would be completely colorless. However, that color loss does not affect the polymer's performance in any way. It's just, we mention it because if it happens to somebody, it's like maybe a little bit of a shock. It's like, oh my God, my polymer used to be pretty red and now it's colorless. Is it still okay? It's okay. Yeah, you could still use it. It's fine.
So basically the color's just for the color, so you can see that it's on and evenly spread.
That it certainly helps. Now we do still have some colorless formulas that we didn't put anything in, or it actually didn't call for any ingredient that had a colorant in it. But that's very critical to certain people. You can't just take the clear polymer, the colorless polymer, and add food coloring. That's not how it works. Or a dye, because those things could potentially settle out of the polymer. And so this is one of the ingredients actually in the polymer, and we call it's in the backbone of the polymer chains themselves. So there's no way that the colorant can flow out of the red polymer and deposit any kind of a residue on the surface. We've got a lot of metrology that shows that.
Interesting.
Okay, so now this is set up long enough. I'm going to take this chemical resistant mesh and I'm just going to set it over here. Once again, you embed it onto an edge, and you can see it's kind of setting up there a little bit in the middle still. So I'm going to take a little bit more polymer, go over top of that, and get that embedded in there. And again, on an edge, because you need to peel the polymer from an edge. So that's the way you remove water spots from a refractor. And we have a video on our website. That flow chart that I showed earlier has a link to the video on our YouTube channel that shows the process also. And I'm going to set that aside now and go on to our next thing, which is a CCD. We have a nice CCD camera here. It was on kind of permanent loan to us from Panos Kapitopoulos from ATIC. I'm guessing a lot of you guys probably know Panos. Yep. So he let us borrow this. And,
that was nice of him.
Yeah, he's a good guy. We've seen him now, known him for a few years, and just a great guy. I think he would do anything for somebody. So this is we're not actually cleaning the CCD here. We're actually just cleaning the cover window. And once again, I'm going to use my pipette as long as it will still work. And I'm going to just apply a couple of drops into the center of that cover glass. Set that aside, and you can see the little droplet there in the middle. And so I'm going to spread this up to the edge because it's a square CCD in a round hole. So you don't have to go all the way to the edge because the CCD is not looking at that very edge. But I'm not using an O-ring here. O-rings are good to use, but they're not mandatory if you're very careful and you don't let the polymer get to that retaining ring around the outside edge. As long as you're getting it in that clear aperture area, that's what you need to do. And that's what I've done there. That's all I need to do. Now, once that starts setting up, I would embed mesh into that again, but I'm not going to show that again because it's, redundant. So this is the other one, and this was another camera. This one was actually provided to us from Farah out at Woodland Hills Camera and Telescope. It's good to have friends. So she provided this one to us, and this is a little bit different idea. So this is a square CCD inside of a square hole, so it really doesn't have that much of a area around the perimeter that's outside of the clear aperture. So what we did in this case is we created a 3D printed dam, and this is nylon. Got away from me. This is a nylon material. I think 3D printers are really becoming kind of, a lot of people have them in their household anymore. So if you want to print your dams, you can just use, this is a nylon material. Most of the material that they use for the 3D printing will dissolve when it's in contact with acetone. So we recommend using the nylon. And then I've already got this coated. I've already used it, and I'm just pulling it out to show how it works. But it would be the same process. You would put polymer on the bottom edge, the mating surface area, just like you would on an O-ring, and then you let that dry. You set it in place, and then you've got your dam, and then you pour the polymer in and spread it out. And once it's you can embed the floss or the mesh into the edge. And then once it's dry, you just pull that out. And that 3D dam, we've talked about getting a 3D printer and actually doing it, providing that ourselves. But it's just, we haven't been able to yet. We've just been so busy with other things that we haven't had an opportunity to do.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. So,
and, just thinking, that's you have quite a few different cameras and camera sensors to deal with. So that may take a little time anyway to get.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how we would really, unless we actually went out to all the different manufacturers and took measurements and stuff to be able to custom make them ahead of time. We could certainly do it after the fact if we put it on as a product on our website and then tell us the dimensions, your inside dimensions of the area, and then we could do it. But we're not to that point yet. We're getting there, but we're not to that point. But just so that anybody that's out there, if you got one or a 3D printer, or if you have a friend that does, they can make one for you, and it works. But you have to use the nylon material.
I got one.
All right.
So anybody needs
you have one?
Let me know. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so this is the mirror that we put the pre-treatment on and sprayed a while ago. It's pretty bright. Now you can see some areas here. See if I can get a better view. Yeah, that are like right in here.
Yep.
That's not the an area where the polymer and the pre-treatment didn't mix. What that is those were just air bubbles that were trapped in the polymer from the spray process. So that's dry enough now. I'm just going to go ahead and use another section of a peel tab and peel that off. Push that down over the edge again. And this one I'll have to chase around a little bit because I wasn't careful about spraying away from these edges. So I'm having to kind of chase it around a little bit with my fingers. But the peel tab is nothing more than getting the polymer started. And then once you get it started, you can use your fingers on the polymer, and you can see that's coming up there, and that's tearing a little bit right there. If I pull it towards the edge, it's coming off. Well, and now I got to get a little bit more. There we go. Now it's releasing. We're not quite dry in the center.
Yep.
You can actually see how it's stretching.
Yep.
So it's not fully dry, but it is still coming off. So I kind of pushed the envelope on that a little bit. It wasn't quite fully dry, but you can see even when it stretched and it wasn't fully dry, it still all came off that mirror.
So Norm wants to know if the polymer will damage the sensor if it gets through the glass.
No, I mean, I don't really know how it would get through the glass. You know, I mean, bringing this over here and talking about this, you know, I mean, you got your retaining ring here for the glass, and I mean, I suppose it's potentially possible that if you just poured this thing full,
right,
level full, and it flowed past it, it could flow down into there. Now, it's not going to be pretty trying to get it out, but assuming that the materials down in here are not plastic underneath the glass, then it will come off. And we actually have an ESD formula polymer. I talked about it at the very beginning of the show. You can actually clean bare CCD sensors. I didn't have one here tonight. Yep, you can put it right on the sensor itself. And we have a link to that video on our YouTube channel once again. You know what? I'm done with our demos. So I'm going to just maybe go into full screen mode here and go to our YouTube channel, and I can show you some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I'll go to screen sharing.
And then, and that looks like Ross wants to see if I could pull my filter off. I think I kind of screwed up the mesh, but we'll see.
Let me see, what am I doing here?
But I was going to say, Norm is, you know, most of those sensors have like a glass top over top of them. So
you're right. Most of them do.
They have like a very thin layer of glass over top of those sensors. And most of those sensors in the cameras are sealed atmospherically, you know, so you're not likely to get anything through and on it. And even if you did, you can still clean that.
That's not working quite right.
Yeah, you got it.
It's not right.
What do you?
Full screen, and then go to your YouTube on your full screen.
I'm trying to see. It's not bringing up my option to go to full screen mode. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you know what we could do? We could do it this way. Hold on a second.
Well, you know what? I can get out of mine here.
Well, here you go. Here's the website.
You're there.
Cleanable.
Yeah. So so if you is that you, Dan?
That
has that?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you go to our instructions and videos link there at the top, and then our YouTube channel. Oh, okay. So you got to click PCT YouTube, and then it will take you to our YouTube channel.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. So we have a whole bunch of them on here. And what were we looking for? Okay, so
clean the actual sensor itself.
Right. So right here at the very bottom line where you're at right now, Dan, you see that one, there you go, that says CCD or CMOS cover glass cleaning with first contact. And that's doing the cover glass like I was doing here. And of course, we have to watch the obligatory ad first. But yeah, so this is 2.5 minutes long. I would say we probably don't need to watch that one, but I wanted to show you. Yeah, there's a lot of information about why, or how to do it and how you clean it. But let's get back out of that one, Dan, and then go to let's see now, where is it? There's another one. Oh, okay, so the one with the red line underneath that says CCD and CMOS sensor cleaning. That's a bare CCD sensor. Yeah. So
there you go.
Yeah, this talks about doing it and being careful about certain things, but you can advance this out to, but there you go. Just back it up a little bit. So this is an actually bare unmounted sensor, and I'm putting one drop into the middle of it. And then you use this applicator brush, but because it's so tiny, I cut the brush at an angle to spread the polymer over that. And this is an ESD formula. And so it's electrostatic discharge free, because of course, if it's an unmounted or ungrounded sensor, they're very static sensitive. And our ESD formula is static free, so that you don't like short it out. Because something I didn't talk about before with our regular polymer does create a slight static charge. So if you're using it this way, you don't want to use it on a bare, unmounted, ungrounded sensor. And I think we show a few more things here talking about cleaning. While you have it covered, you can clean the threaded areas there, so no more contamination falls down. And then bing, off it comes.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's the ESD formula. All right. So that's all I have as far as demo. Well, okay. So let's see now. I put polymer on the O-ring on the.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I don't know if this is going to be dry enough to peel, but we're going to give it the old college dry here. See if it comes
about
out.
half an hour.
Okay. Yep. So it's still stretchy. You can see it stretching, but it's pulling the O-ring out, and it wasn't quite dry. I don't know if you can see where it's stretching the polymer. So I needed to wait a little longer, but you can see there's a, it cleaned it right up. You can see a little bit of polymer residue around the outside edge because I didn't wait quite long enough. But that's how the floss will work. And
now, question: once you've used that O-ring, is it reusable?
Yes, it is. It certainly is. You can just take the polymer, peel it back out off the O-ring, and you can actually. One cool thing about the dry polymer is this will release from an optical surface if it's in contact with water. So you can see this O-ring's kind of got rough edges on it. You can actually just put this in a little bit of water for a couple of minutes, and that dry polymer, you can just flake it right off, and then you can just reuse it. It doesn't expand when it's in contact with the polymer. So yeah, you can reuse the O-rings.
Excellent.
Awesome.
I don't think that this is going to be dry enough because I did this after the other items. I don't think this is going to be dry enough to pull off. Yeah, no, not even close.
Don't even try it. Wait for it.
Yeah. That's gonna take a little bit longer because the polymer is thicker. You can kind of see where it kind of flowed out to the edges, and it's a little bit thicker out there. So that's gonna take longer to dry.
Yep.
So I'm gonna point it back up, and you can look at me now.
All right. So let's take a look here and see how bad I did this guy. All right.
There we go.
Now, I didn't bend this like I should have, so it's not going to be the best thing, but let's see. It's stuck.
Yeah, so, Dan, what you're experiencing
I went too deep.
Is if you don't put the mesh or the floss right into the edge around the perimeter, it feels like the adhesion is incredibly high. Think of the polymer, the dry film, as a piece of tape, and if you don't try to pull tape up from an edge, you're not going to get it off.
Yeah. See, so it got, in all fairness, it got all of the there was two big thumbprints here. And it's gone now because I didn't get to the edge. There's some you can kind of see right in there.
Hold it up a little bit.
Right in there.
Oh, where you still got some polymer stuck.
Yeah, right in the wedge because I didn't use an O-ring either, and it's on the sides here. You know, so I didn't
But,
really, I didn't do it very well. So,
but that polymer on there, it doesn't hurt anything. I mean, you know, I personally like to avoid it because it's, you know, I think it's unsightly, and I try to avoid it when I can. But it's inert. The dry polymer film is inert. It's not going to hurt anything. It's just like having, you know, a piece of food wrap, you know, stuck to somewhere. You know, it doesn't hurt anything.
yeah. So yeah, because I used the mesh that we have here. That's what we used.
Yeah.
That's this guy here. So, and the bigger brush that you were talking about is right here. This is the bigger brush.
Right. Yeah. And we have some really good sized brushes. If I was, I mean, once again, you know, if I was going to clean this 8-inch, if I wanted to pour the polymer on this 8-inch like this here, or even a 10-inch, you can certainly do it and just use a bigger brush to spread the polymer versus the little bitty one that's in the applicator bottle. It's handy, but it has its limitations.
I think I think the last time you were on, Dave, you showed your guys doing one of these big monster mirrors at an observatory, and they had a huge brush and they were putting it on.
It was like a broom.
It was almost like a broom, exactly.
So interesting story. The Space Surveillance Telescope, or the SST telescope, it was I think 2.4 meter mirrors out in Arizona or New Mexico. L3 Harris was contracted to disassemble that telescope, and they shipped it to somewhere in Colorado, I think it was, to get it the mirrors reilluminized, and then that telescope was reassembled down in very northwestern Australia on a little spit of land poking out into the ocean. But the cool thing was, so they sprayed the first layer of polymer onto that mirror, just like, you know, we have on this one. You know, I have just one thin layer, and then once that's protected, they took paint rollers, because you're talking 2.4 meters. They took paint rollers just like you'd use it to your house, and they rolled the paint on over to get the polymer thicker, so it was thick enough to number one, protect, but number two, to peel. And so they used paint rollers to get that thick enough, and then they left that polymer in place to protect the mirror surface while they sent it up to Colorado. But yeah, so paint rollers, you know, they work. But once again, you know, you got to have a pretty good size optic before you're starting to talk about something like that.
Yeah.
I think I did a little bit better job coding it this time.
It looks a lot smoother.
I'm starting to get those. I'm starting to get those kind of like modeling that you were talking about.
Right. Yep. As it starts to dry.
So now you just want to wait a couple of minutes, and I guess, right? And we'll cut a little piece of this mesh off.
Right. Yep.
It comes in these nice squares, and I don't know where the square goes. Where it goes in. There's those squares here. Got my scissors here. Just cut a little.
Yeah, you don't need.
You have to wait a little bit, Dave.
I'm just cutting it. I'm just cutting it, man. Okay. You're like my wife.
Right.
What the hell?
Give it about 10 minutes.
Yeah. Rather.
Bend it to a right angle. Put it all the way up against the edge.
There you go. It's now.
Jeez, Dan, can't you follow directions?
RTFM, man. There you go. So I got it bent. It's bent and ready to go in a little bit to be laid in the polymer. So
now I guess I can talk about that too. You can let that polymer completely dry. If you got your polymer on there and then the dog tipped over your trash can or something, and you're like, oh crap, and you come back to it a half an hour later and the polymer is completely dry, all you got to do is take that little applicator bottle and re-wet a little area in the corner, put a little bit more polymer over it, and embed the mesh.
And then lay it a little bit on the top.
Yep. And you can do that.
Because you're not going to get that mesh to hit the glass because it's already pretty much dried up as it is.
If I'm doing the whole process, the whole cleaning process, I like to just do it all at once. That way you save some drying time. But if something happens that you forgot about it, or you coated it 6 months ago to protect it, you can re-wet an area and embed the mesh or the floss into those areas.
Nice.
Yeah, what I usually do is if when I do my cleaning, it's like, obviously we're having terrible weather and I just lay everything out and I start with my filters lined up and I start at the one, I put the stuff on. By the time I get to the last one, or my lens and all that, now I can go back, put the mesh on that one, put the mesh on that one. It's like an assembly line kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I let it sit, and I'll let it sit for an hour. And then by the time after an hour, everything rips right off. And everything is beautiful.
So,
and I put it all back together, and as soon as I get clear skies, I take photos, and it's like,
until he puts the fingerprint on it. It's like,
no.
So, and as we talk, it brings up things I think about. You were talking about you wait about an hour, to peel it off. You can leave that polymer in place to protect an optic if you store it or something, or you're going to ship it. Some people have remote observatories.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that is
I never
idea.
Thought about that.
Put that on there to protect it, and it can be on the surface for, it's kind of an undetermined amount of time. We actually did a long-term study here in our lab where we had the polymer on an aluminum mirror, just like we demonstrated on tonight. It was on there for 2 years. When we peeled it off, it was just like we put it on yesterday. Now, at some point, based on time and environmental factors like humidity and temperature, the polymer can get brittle to the point where like here, where it's you get it up in the screen here, it's nice and flexible.
It's flexible,
It can get brittle. And it might not peel off all at once. That's okay. If you have an optic that was in your drawer for 10 years and you pull it out and it doesn't peel off, all you got to do is put liquid polymer over the dry polymer that's on there. It will redissolve what's on there. Yep, when it's dry, it'll come right off.
And you know what you could do if you're really careful with this after you're done and it comes off all in one piece. The next time you go to a star party, you could use it to cover your headlights in your car. So it's like,
before you drive into a ditch.
I've seen people do that. It was a lot of fun because he deserved every minute of it. So, but no, don't do that. I was only kidding. Don't do that. Oh man, what a great presentation, man. It's always good having you on the show. We got to do this more often, and 2 years is too long.
I love your product, Dave. It's so good. I swear by it.
Well, we're glad to be on and be able to show these different things and the different techniques we come up with, especially for the citizen scientists out in the world. We love interacting with everybody, either here or at NEAF, and it's just a good time. It's a very relaxed environment. We like to do it, but glad everybody was had a chance to watch us here and see what we do.
Yeah, and don't forget that discount code Eclipse 2024. And go get. Last time we had a show, sold a bunch. So I mean, come on.
I'm going to make sure. I don't think I'm in screen share mode, so I'm going to just make sure of that, so I'm not leading people down the wrong path. I'm pretty sure it's Eclipse 2024, but I'm looking up right now. just to make sure.
I was like, he just shut off.
Where are we? That's a different one. Well, where the heck is it? I think it was for NEEF. Do I have it? I don't know if I had it in here alphabetically. Yeah, not there. I think it might be on page 3. Well, of course, now I can't see the stupid thing. I need to find it so everybody knows what it is here. So NEEF, let me find our NEEF. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. It is Eclipse 24, not 2024.
Eclipse
just
24.
Eclipse 24.
Yep. Eclipse
There you
24. Yep. Yep.
Nice.
That's what it is. And that goes until the end of November. And
Awesome.
yeah, so
Well,
it's good for a while in case somebody needs to take some time to get some order, put it in order. And I would say to anybody, if you want to order, we have a lot of kits on our website, and if you have your refractor or Schmidt-Cassegrain or whatever, you can follow those flow charts or look at that other chart that was on our product finder page. But we're happy to take a phone call or an email. You can go to our webpage, to our contact us page, and send us a message that way, an email that way. And we're happy to point you in the right direction, ask what kind of telescope you have and the size and everything, and get you the right kit for your equipment.
Awesome.
And take measurements if you need O-rings or something like that. Use your caliper tool. Dan, you need a caliper tool?
Yeah, I do. Okay.
Here, let me lend you Lamont. Here.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice.
You got it?
Got it. Thanks.
All right,
Appreciate it.
there you go. So and check your measurements so that you can make sure you order the right O-rings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so I can't really think of anything else there. I guess what I could do is, from the show from 2 years ago, we had some questions that came up.
Yep.
So I could just read through those and see if we haven't already covered them. Okay, so shelf life, we already talked about. Okay, so somebody asked, they must have left the lid off their bottle and it got too thick. It lost solvents, and they wanted to know if they could thin it with acetone. No. You can thin this, and you can make it, we make this to a very specific viscosity. So our production material meets a very specific specification. So you can add more of our proprietary thinner. If you got the red polymer, you get our thinner we call it the red thinner. It's actually colorless. And your kit might actually have a vial of the thinner in it. I think
it
does.
I think it did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think mine did too.
So,
yeah, I think the kit I had did as well.
Yeah. So some of our kits have the thinner with it. Some of them don't. But you can add that thinner. Yeah.
Yep. That's it. Yep.
To the polymer. And if you get it too thin, it's not going to destroy it. It's just going to run.
Yeah.
Quicker.
Easier.
Yeah.
So you can do that and then restore it back, but don't just use straight acetone, because This is actually a blend of thinners, solvents, a blend of solvents, and the solvents are designed to avoid thermal shock to coatings, because if something evaporates too fast, it cools, right? When you evaporate, it cools. And if it evaporates too fast, it could thermally shock coatings and potentially damage them. So if you use the solvent that's associated with the polymer that you have, then it's fine. It works just fine. That was another question. Can it be refrigerated? Yeah, we talked about that. Any pre-treatment for difficult spots? That would once again be the thing where if you cleaned your mirror first or your refractor first and you saw a spot that was still there, you can spot clean that. And I didn't demonstrate a spot clean, but on our YouTube video channel, there's a demonstration on how to spot clean with the pre-treatment in the polymer. Somebody mentioned or asked if it was oil-based, and no, it's not oil-based. It's polymer-based, and it's a blend of polymers and solvents.
I had to put my mesh on.
Ah, there you go. Does it set up or dry faster in warmer environments? Yes, it does. So people out in New Mexico, Arizona, or Southern California, where you got a lot of sunlight, and especially if you're out in the desert, at some of these remote observatories, it's maybe 100 degrees out there. It will definitely dry fast. You have less work time to deal with the polymer, which if you're spraying it on, it doesn't really matter. But if you're pouring it on and spreading it out, you have to kind of work fast or just use small amounts. But yeah, faster, warmer environments, it does dry faster, which is, that's good for you. Once you get it on there, it's good for you once it's fully on and you're waiting for it to cure up to dry. What is the average or best amount of time to let it sit? That completely depends on how thick you apply it. Once again, I'll go back to this here demonstration of this 8-inch. You can see there's hardly any color. Get it farther away. There's hardly any color on that. That was very thin. That dried in a matter of about 3 minutes. And I think I poked at it, and you could see I didn't bring any off. And then this thing here, you can see there where it's thicker in the middle and thinner at the perimeter. Yep. So if it's really thick, it's going to take, I would say, at least an hour. Don't try to peel it for at least an hour. If it's thinner, 30 minutes or less, you can usually do it. You can usually peel it. When you're using those O-rings like I did earlier, I use the filter, the one on the little filter.
Yep.
And I think that probably set for a good 30 minutes, and it wasn't quite fully dry. So I would say when you're using an O-ring, because the polymer has a tendency to kind of sit around that perimeter, especially if it's a refractor, wait at least an hour. It doesn't hurt to let it sit overnight. Yeah, you can let it sit overnight, come back to it. It doesn't hurt it. Yeah, and that was all the questions.
Don't do this on a day where you think you're gonna shoot that night. Do it on a day where
Do it on a cloudy day.
I got nothing to do. I'm not using this equipment for at least 24 hours. Yeah. So that way you know you can do it, let it sit there, and just leave it.
Yeah, you're not rushing. You're not rushed. You're not under a time crunch, and you can kind of take your time to learn as you go. And then after you've used it, Dan, that's the first time I think you've actually used it, isn't it?
Well, not the first, but pretty much, the third, I think.
Okay. So as you get using it, you just know how to use it. You're better at you're faster at applying it, and it just goes easier. That first time you use it, there's kind of that initial shock of, oh my god, a little bit of a learning curve.
And there's a little bit of nervousness to it because you don't know how it's gonna, you don't want it to run over, and you don't want it to do certain things. And even though it's going to be okay, there's still that anxiousness of, when you're dealing with optics, and a lot of people do have that. including me.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people
Yeah.
say, I'm not collimating my scope. I'm not touching anything. You could do it. I'll pay you to do it. And that's what I do. I collimate scopes. so yeah. But
So yeah, Eclipse 24, 15% discount for people. Write it down, and that's good till the end of November. Of course, by then we're going to be just about at NEAF again, and we'll probably have another NEAF discount going on. So
in April,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen again. So
yeah,
I'm so excited. This will be our third NEAF with the table. Yep. So it'll be our second for the store, our third for the show. And it looks like, and if I have my druthers, as my wife would say, we are going to do, usually we're pretty good friends with the guys from Prima Luce. So we go to dinner all the time with them, and whenever they're in the area, and me and Tom Bramwell are very good friends. And so originally in the first year they had two booths, we had one right next to each other like this. And then we thought that last year we were like, let's do a back-to-back and make one big booth, and we could do that. And then all of a sudden we realized that they run the cables through the middle of the booth, so it created a tripping hazard, so it didn't happen. So the next this year coming up, I think we're gonna take all 5 that go across, and we could just make like 2.5 of each of us, and we're gonna split the cost, and it's gonna be pretty cool. We're gonna have that whole row. So
nice.
So we'll see.
Yeah, if you've not been to NEAF, we highly recommend to go to see all the neat stuff, meet new people out there, and yeah, it's great.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And if you're really good into the tech stuff and you're a budding astrophotographer, on that Monday and Tuesday after NEAF this year, is going to be NEAC, there'll be plenty of presenters, and Warren Keller, Pete Proul, and Ron Breacher will be there from Masters of Pix Insight. TJ Connolly usually gives us a discussion. Nico Carver as well. So there's a lot of people that do presentations, and there's also nighttime workshops too. So weather permitting. So check it out.
And it's early this year, right?
It's the 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6 is NEAF, and 7, 8 is NEAC. Yeah.
Of April, though, right?
April, yeah. First week in April. Yep.
Might be able to make it this year.
Well, there's no eclipse this year, so you better. I don't want to hear that you're golfing.
It had nothing to do with it.
You could golf in New York. There's plenty of nice golf courses.
But it's Saturday, Sunday, so I can do Saturday, Sunday, no problem.
I'll do Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and just make a little vacay out of it,
We'll see what I can do.
Tell your boss you're taking 2 days off. Would you stop? Work is overrated. Let's go. Come on.
I agree.
But anyway, Dave, great time as usual. Thank you so much for hanging out with us again. And I'm telling you, I'm going to hit you up after NEAF, and we'll do it again. Let's do it Charles Bracken comes on once a year. We could have you come on once a year. We have Astropalooza coming up in December, so that's going to be crazy. I was flaunting with moving it to the Saturday after the 7th, so Eric could watch his Army Navy game. But
hey, you know what? And feel free, Dave. Every Wednesday and Friday, just hop on. If you want to just
tune in,
on the chat. Chat with everybody. I mean, we have such a great time.
It's a lot of fun.
We really appreciate you. We really appreciate you coming on and showing you and demonstrating your product.
Everyone's giving you thumbs up. Great presentation. Thank you so much.
Happy to do it. It's a good time for us here too, just to talk with you guys and be able to answer questions that anybody might have, because even old time polymer users, old customers still, they come up with questions. So happy to be here, and we'll certainly come on again whenever you want us on.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, We'll talk after NEAF, and maybe we'll get you on in May, June, or something like that, and we'll get you back on. All right.
All right. Sounds good.
Cool.
Everybody,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for hanging out. What we do at the end of the show is like a little final thoughts things, like Jerry Springer kind of thing. So, Eric, you got any final thoughts tonight?
Yeah, just real quick. Don't forget to check out our website, AstroWorldWeb.com, and our Image of the Week contest. We have 5 experienced imagers that have submitted images. Actually 4. There's 2. One submitted 2. So we have 5 images for folks to vote on, as well as we have 2 novice images. So thank you for our continued support of the website, the show. Don't forget to also let your friends, family know to go onto the website, astroworldweb.com/IOTW. Get the word out so that you can have a chance to maybe win up to
win some cash.
Win some cash. A gift certificate to AstroWorld telescopes.
So what are we giving away? We're giving away 300 for first place, 150 and 75, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
And then for the novice, we're giving away, I don't know,
100.
We're giving away about $700 worth of gift certificates to AstroWorld telescopes for the winner, and plus you get the plaque, the whole thing, and if you live nearby, you get it hand delivered. So we're giving away a lot of money to people that that can use the money to get better stuff.
Yeah, get better stuff.
Get better stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And yeah.
Dave, final thoughts?
I got a new image coming out, so be on the lookout for that.
Oh, geez. I don't have anything. I have nothing. I'm useless.
Final thoughts. Vote for me this week. People,
don't vote for
me.
Dave. Don't vote for Dave. As a matter of fact, just because you said that, I'm just not voting for you at all.
I'm voting for none of the
I
above.
thought it was vote for Pedro.
Yeah, voting for Monty Brewster.
Hey,
there it is.
Hey, look, it's Stu Pedasso.
Stu,
Stu, go on the website.
For Dave.
You better vote
no.
for me. Stu Pedasso.
No, don't. Everybody, it's the anti-Dave vote. So.
I only put 43 hours of effort into that photo.
Just because you put 43 hours in it doesn't mean it's good.
Some of us don't live in dark sites like Dr. Gray.
You know what, Dave? If you put 43 hours of effort into that, the least you could have done was save it and send it as a web file.
Every time, but when I do that, it destroys the image. So I leave that for you because I can't.
Yeah.
If I try and do that, the image looks terrible. It's like, what the hell just happened?
All right.
Oh, good.
But anyways, Dave. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm a huge advocate for your product. I've been using it for the last couple of years, and it's such a nice thing to have. And, it basically blows anything away that's out there on the market. People are like, oh, you just use this or you just use that. You have to use a lint-free towel. You use Dave's stuff. And
get the first contact.
Rip it, and it's done. Yeah. And I like the idea of now I'm thinking, when I have multiple scopes, I'm thinking, oh, well, when I put one up, I'm just going to coat it with your product and then put it away so that when I'm ready to pull it back out, rip it, put it on the
now you got new optics.
Yeah, you got a nice clean optic.
Won't be any mouse tracks over the mirror or anything.
Oh, it's a great thing. I mean, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to probably do that.
Awesome.
We've heard about and seen it all, stuff that's out there that mice get into things, and grasshoppers, bug poop that gets on out there.
Oh, jeez.
A friend of mine had an earwig in his astrophysics case. He was not happy. We had earwig poop on his astrophysics lens.
Yeah.
Not fun. As a matter of fact, I know for this day, it's the poop is still there. I think he was afraid to clean it, and I think it's still there.
Oh, wow.
12 years later.
Ugh.
Hey.
Well, it is
It's
well
the
and
first
truly
contact.
stuck now.
Oh yeah, it
That
ain't
would
going
be a
anywhere.
That would be a challenge to see if we could get it off.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, I'm sure you can do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
One real quick question that Stupisato had.
Oh.
What I was thinking was for using it on my long and medium range rifle scopes. Would this be okay for this type of application?
Of course it will.
Absolutely, it's glass. Yeah.
It's optics.
I'll be right back.
Oh,
Oh.
here we go.
Oh, he's going to get his. Stu, that's exactly
Stu.
what I was thinking. Yeah. I'll bet you were, Stu.
There you
Winning.
go.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
So
There you
yeah,
go.
I mean, cleaning the the objective lens on this or the eyepiece lens on this is no different than cleaning a filter or anything like that. You know, these are the lenses in a rifle scope are they're quality. They're very robust. The coatings, once again, the coatings that are tested just like everything else with this tape test, so we know it's safe. I have quite a few rifles at home too. I do some shooting and I clean mine with the polymer. Yeah. So yeah, you can do that. Binoculars. Yep, definitely can.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Good to know.
Pretty much any piece of glass that.
And there's a video cleaning this on our YouTube channel also.
There you go. Just get the right O-ring, right?
Yeah.
So.
You can. Hey, maybe
Awesome.
you can even use
You hear
it on
that,
these.
Stu? Stu, you can use it on your scopes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Use it on your specs. See how that works out.
Well,
You know what?
I don't know if I do
am
that.
I'm just kidding.
I'm half tempted to try it on my.
You do that and let me
I
know.
don't necessarily recommend it because this isn't really, I don't know.
that's usually plastic. And
This is not glass. I'm telling you
this
that
is
right
not
now.
glass. So I'm letting you guys know. Don't do it. I'm just letting
Not glass.
Just use some glass cleaner or your shirt tail. That's
There you
that's
go.
cheaper.
Yeah. I was joking. Yeah, don't do that. High quality optics. You want to use this stuff.
And there you go.
Hey, wait a minute! I spent a lot of money on these things.
No, you spent a lot of money on the frames. You spent a lot of money on the frames, not the plastic in between them.
I guess that, right? Yeah.
All right, everybody, great. And listen, it's about 10:40 Eastern. It's time for night for Dano.
Yeah, I gotta get back outside and do some
well,
imaging.
and you know what? At this rate, it's going to be time to rip up the rip up the first contact in a couple of minutes. So I may just leave this open for a little bit. But everybody, again, thank you again, Dave, for coming on. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And everybody, don't forget, we got Friday night. We'll be back on at 8:00. No guest on Friday night, but we will be giving away another Masters of Pix Insight workshop. So we'll be doing that. And we're getting ready to give away our next copy of Chris Lynn Tott's Accidental Astronomy book. And that's a really cool book. And go read it. I read the I read the Audible version of the book. Very, very cool stuff. So definitely check it out. Sign up for the giveaways at astroweb.com if you're not on it. And enjoy the rest of Hump Day. And we'll see everybody on Friday. And remember, as always, to keep imaging, keep educating, and clear skies. And we'll see you Friday night. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.